Halloween, a celebration observed in many countries as a dedication to remembering the dead. Last Sunday in Atlanta, the Detroit Lions were just 64 seconds away from the Fulton County morgue until Todd Gurley idiotically gifted the Kitty Cats a ninth life and one hell of a tasty end zone treat. Thanks, Todd, you bonehead. Now very much alive in the NFC playoff picture, can our beloved Honolulu Blue and Silver avoid being scaredy cats and win their third game in a row for the first time in the Matt Poop-Tricia era? We'll discuss. Also, the 113th all-time meeting between Michigan and Michigan State football kicks off on Saturday, with Big Blue bursting in as heavy home favorites. Will Mel Tucker's first trip to Ann Arbor turn into a Halloween horror film? We'll take a stab at it. Boo to you from our crew at Detroit Sports Extreme, which starts right now. Recorded from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, this is Detroit Sports Extreme. Here now is your new voice for Detroit Sports, Johnny Bakerstone. Ghostly greetings, Detroit sports fans, and welcome to the Week 8 edition of Detroit Sports Extreme. We are coming at you from inside the warm and friendly confines of Ford Field at 2000 Brush Street in Detroit, where the candy corn is plentiful, glasses of witch's brew are brimming, and later this weekend, our 3-3 Motor City Kitties host 87-year-old quarterback Phillip Rivers and the 4-2 Indianapolis Colts. The Paul Bunyan Trophy is also up for grabs in Ann Arbor as number 13 Michigan hosts unranked Michigan State for a high noon in-state showdown. So let's get right into it. Michigan State 27, Michigan 24. Entering as the biggest favorites they've been since 1992 against Michigan State, Jim Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines gag away a 27-24 loss to the Michigan State Spartans. It's pathetic, and Harbaugh needs to go. This is the final straw. We will release an emergency podcast in the next day or two to go over the game and the mess in Ann Arbor, so please look for it on our Detroit Sports Extreme Facebook page. Week 7 Recap. Joining me for this segment will once again be my former 1660 The Wave counterpart, Candy Copperfield. Good morning, my former partner in crime.
Good morning, Johnny. It's great to be here. I'm on my third glass of witch's brew, and I'm ready to break down one of the most exciting Lions games ever.
Christmas came the weekend before Halloween, Candy, as Todd Gurley gift-wrapped the Lions a 23-22 Week 7 win in Atlanta, with the Falcons driving for a seemingly game-winning time-expiring field goal. Gurley inexplicably punched in a 10-yard touchdown instead of falling to the ground to milk out the clock. Even though the first-year Falcon running back slowed down as he approached pay dirt, Lions safety Will Harris tripped him up and propelled Gurley's momentum into the end zone. Harris realized he was being a moron by trying to tackle Gurley, so he then let go, and this caused Gurley to stumble, and he just barely crossed the plane of the end zone. Even the Lions comically celebrated Gurley's buffoonery.
So did I, Johnny. I thought the game was all but over, but Gurley gave us a favor of monumental Peachtree proportions. It was a break for a team that rarely gets them.
Had he not scored, the Falcons would have taken just 2 more snaps and 2 more kneel downs to set up a game-winning chip shot field goal with no time left on the clock, as the Kitty Cats had no timeouts remaining. But thankfully instead, Matthew Stafford and the offense was given a minute and 4 seconds to work with. An eternity in today's NFL, even without any timeouts. And boy, did they take advantage.
Did they ever, Johnny? I still have my hand down my pants thinking about it.
Number 9 started the drive by hitting T.J. Hawkinson for a 13-yard catch along the right sidelines, but Hawk failed to get out of bounds and the clock continued to tick. Hawkinson is my boy, but I'm not sure what in the Sam hell he was doing. You have to get out of bounds right away in that situation with no timeouts and less than a minute to go in the game. And with just 34 seconds left, the Lions were staring at their own 38-yard line, and it did not look good, Kendi.
Oh boy, Johnny, no it didn't. At this point I knew we needed to complete a long pass or we were toast. I was getting ready to throw a peach right at my television screen.
Stafford answered, though, by completing a 22-yard pass to Danny Amendola and then a 29-yard pass to Kenny Golladay, who made an absolutely incredible catch in traffic.
Pay the man his money, Johnny. It's his money and he wants it now.
Golladay contract extensions and now even trade rumors continue to surface, but Golladay proved Sunday he is more than worthy of a hefty pay raise. Boob Quinn, if you're listening out there in podcast land, could you please lock this guy up long term and pay him for the love of God? The completion was reviewed and allowed the Lions to collectively catch their breath and design a play. With just 3 seconds to go from the 11-yard line, Stafford dropped back, avoided a pass rush, stepped forward, and threw an absolutely perfect pass to a sliding T.J. Hawkinson as time expired. It couldn't have been done better in a Madden video game. The Lions, as well as the entire city of Detroit, went bonkers that carelessly drew them dirty laundry and a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. Oh boy, this resulted in a 48-yard game-winning extra point attempt from Matt Prater.
It would have been so Lions to miss this and go to overtime, Johnny, and Prater already missed a 46-yard field goal earlier in the game. Even though he's been clutch for most of his Lions career, I feared we were going to overtime for sure.
Prater luckily bailed out the Pussycats by drilling it through the uprights and sticking a stake through the heart of Arthur Blank and the Atlanta Falcons. The win marked Matthew Stafford's 30th fourth-quarter comeback and 36th game-winning drive. The 12th-year signal caller leads the NFL in fourth-quarter comebacks and is second in game-winning drives since being drafted in 2009. You can say what you want about Stafford, but he's as good as it gets in 2-minute drill hurry-up offense. With the running game highly ineffective for virtually the entire game, I thought Stafford should have thrown the ball even more against the porous Bird secondary.
So did I, Johnny. It felt like the Lions played this game too cautiously and were playing not to lose. But a win's a win, baby, and we'll take it.
The Lions now enter Week 8 against a well-rested Colts team, fresh off their bye.
Week 8 Preview.
The Lions enter Week 8 with a golden opportunity to capture a winning record for just the 4th time in 39 games and notch their 3rd consecutive win for pathetically the first time under head coach Matt Patricia. But it won't be easy, as our formidable felines host one of the hottest defenses in the NFL in the Indianapolis Colts. More on them in a moment. Matthew Stafford and the passing offense was perhaps the sharpest it has been all season last Sunday in Atlanta, and although that is not saying much, it still inspires a glimmer of hope moving forward. Stafford threw for 340 yards and 1 touchdown, registering his first 300-yard passing game of the season. But let's not kid ourselves. If Todd Gurley didn't hand the Lions a winning Georgia lottery ticket with 64 seconds remaining in the game, you could fart away 75 yards and a touchdown straight off Stafford's box score. With that being said, he still completed 69% of his passes, well over his mark of 62.3% for the season, and consistently moved the chains all afternoon. The former number 1 overall pick also led all Week 7 signal callers by averaging 9.8 yards per completion. He only averages 6.9 on the season. As has been the norm for the Lions for seemingly decades now, however, they sputtered several times in enemy territory, settling for 3 Matt Prater field goals, including 1 missed field goal, and Adrian Peterson was stuffed on a run attempt on 4th and 2 from the Atlanta 3-yard line. God, I hated that play call. I try not to second-guess play calling that much because I realize these coaches work tirelessly in 16-hour workdays and know more X's and O's than I'll ever know, even Poop Tricia, but I knew if we ran it there, Atlanta was going to serve us a plate of spicy, stuffed Atlanta shrimp. I thought the Lions played too conservatively and tried to establish the run too much instead of letting number 9 sling it against one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. It felt like they were playing the game not to lose instead of shoving a win down Atlanta Dirty Bird's throat. Adrian Peterson rushed for just 29 yards on 11 carries, and DeAndre Swift was shut down for 27 yards on only 9 carries after a huge Week 6 performance in Jacksonville. I don't mind the 35-year-old Peterson getting a carry every here and there, especially on the goal line, but it's a bit of a mystery as to why he's still out carrying Swift. Swift is clearly the more explosive runner, but Matt Poop Tricia remains keen on splitting up the work between the two of them. At some point, Poop is going to have to stop being stingy with the rookie running back and turn him loose. For the season, the Lions rank just 19th in the NFL in yards per carry at 4.1 and are 20th in rushing yards per game at 108.5. Continuing to lead the Leo's crop of pass catchers is Kenny Golladay and T.J. Hockenson. Golladay posted 6 catches for 114 yards and leads the team in receiving yards despite missing 2 games this season. Hockenson scored a touchdown for the 3rd straight game, tying a team record by a tight end. His 4 receiving touchdowns on the season also lead the team and are the 2nd most by a tight end in franchise history through 6 games. Keep it up, Huck! Even Marvin Jones joined in on the fun by posting his most receiving yards of the season with 80 on 5 catches. He must have listened to the show last week when we crowned him the turd of the week. On a side note, Jesse James went catchless again and has only 5 grabs on the season. Let's get another listen in on that 4-year, $22 million touchdown hotline. The Lions' defense can simply be summed up with 2 words. They suck. But I will give them credit for holding their own against Matt Ryan and the Falcons last week. Several individual players made key plays in last week's win, including defensive ends Trey Flowers and Romeo Okwara. Flowers batted away a Matt Ryan pass attempt on 4th and 5 early in the 4th quarter from the Lions' 13-yard line, and on the next Atlanta series, Okwara sacked Ryan, forcing and recovering a fumble. Safety Duron Harmon also continues to look like the best offensive acquisition and leads the team in interceptions at 2. In all, however, the Lions defense allows a first down on 42% of plays, 2nd most in the NFL, and they allow the 7th most rushing yards per game at 131.8. Outside of a couple of guys, they haven't looked good all season, and rookie corner Jeff Okudah continues to struggle. The pass rush has been nearly non-existent all season, and only 3 teams have fewer than the Lions' 8 sacks. Hopefully, the addition of Everson Griffin will help, as the Lions just acquired the defensive end from the Dallas Cowboys for a conditional draft pick. Griffin is most known for his 10 seasons with the division rival Minnesota Vikings, in which he had 16 sacks against the Lions, his most against any opponent. I'm sure Matthew Stafford is finally happy to see him on his side. Griffin is no doubt a solid addition, and it appears as if the Lions will be buyers, not sellers, ahead of the November 3rd NFL trade deadline.
Behind enemy lines, the Indianapolis Colts.
When I think of the Indianapolis Colts, I think of 2 players, Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck.
Manning headed the franchise from 1998 until 2010, throwing 539 touchdowns and winning a Super Bowl. And luck was his heir apparent. Manning the Colts from 2012 until 2018, reaching the playoffs 4 times, including an AFC Championship appearance in 2014. But just before the start of the 2019 season, Luck, who battled injuries throughout his entire career, abruptly retired. It was a shocking turn of events, and the Colts, understandably, were totally blindsided. They went to Jacoby Brissett last season, but he turned in mixed results, and he's mostly viewed as a backup quarterback or spot starter. So last offseason, the Horsies signed veteran Phillip Rivers to a 1-year deal. Rivers played 16 seasons with the San Diego Chargers, I hate calling them the Los Angeles Chargers, and led the franchise to 6 playoff appearances, making the Pro Bowl 8 times. He led the NFL in completion percentage in 2013, was the passing yards leader in 2010, and passing touchdowns and NFL passer rating leader in 2008. He also leads the NFL in children, as the devout Roman Catholic has 9 kids. Yikes! But times have changed, as Rivers is now 38 years old and looks like a shell of his former self. He currently ranks 22nd in the NFL in passer rating and averages just 7.6 intended air yards, 25th in the league, meaning he does not take any shots down the field. He is more of a game manager at this point of his career and checks it down early and often, frequently to his running backs. Overall, King Phillip has thrown for just 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and has always been turnover prone throughout his career. I will be honest though, I've always liked the guy. He plays like there's a fire lit up his ass, and he displays energy and excitement. He's fun to watch. His pass catchers are a group of guys most nobody has heard of, excluding T.Y. Hilton and maybe Zach Pascal. Hilton had huge years with Luck, including leading the league in receiving yards in 2016. But the 30-year-old, like Rivers, looks finished. He somehow leads the Colts in receiving yards at 242, but that's an average of only 40 per game. Pascal is tied for the team lead with 2 touchdowns, and although I think he's a nice complimentary piece, he still doesn't have more than 4 catches in any game this season. The running game was turned over to rookie Jonathan Taylor after Marlon Mack tore his ACL in Week 1. If you played 0 RB in your fantasy league and selected Mack with a mid-round pick like I did, my condolences. Many of you remember Taylor running wild during his days in the Big Ten for Wisconsin, as he rushed for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns last year against Michigan. The rookie second-round draft pick is averaging a respectable 4.5 yards per carry over his past 4 games, while teammates Jordan Wilkins and Nyheim Hines are averaging just 2.7. I expect the Colts to fully unleash Taylor coming out of the bye against the Lions' very leaky rushing defense. The bread and butter of the Colts is undoubtedly their offensive line and defense. Their offensive line has averaged just 6 sacks on the season, 2 fewer than any other team. Their defense ranks first in the NFL in passer rating allowed, passing touchdowns allowed, and interceptions. And they allow the 4th least yards per passing attempt and 5th lowest completion percentage. They only yield 199.7 passing yards per game, 2nd fewest in the NFL. John Matthew Stafford, you have your work cut out for you. From the rushing front, the Thoroughbreds only allow 3.5 yards per carry, 4th fewest in the NFL, and the 3rd least rushing yards per game at 88.3. Collectively, they give up just the 4th most points per game at 19.2. Simply put, the Lions are going to have to scrap and claw their way to every yard and point against these crossroads of America assholes. Frank Reich enters his 3rd season in the coaching seat with an overall record of 21-17, winning a playoff game in his first season with Indy in 2018. The year before, he was the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Reich, who appeared in 12 games for the Lions at quarterback at the end of his playing career in 1997 and 98, is generally regarded as one of the more brighter offensive minds in all of football. A long-term pairing with him and Luck would have been a good fit, but for now, he'll roll with stopgap quarterback Philip Rivers. My pick on who will win this pivotal pigskin battle comes later in the show. We are going to take a quick 60-second commercial break here on Detroit Sports Extreme. Do not go anywhere.
Hi, I'm George Blaha, and welcome to Speedway, home of the 30-minute wait to pump your gas. Although there are literally hundreds of other gas stations to choose from, you continue to only choose Speedway for your automobile gassing needs. And now, as a special Speedway thanks, after you purchase 12 soft drinks, you'll get the 13th for half off, only through Speedway Rewards. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, does rewards like Speedway. So wait a half an hour, pump your gas, come on in. Grab a cup of our signature 100% Jamaican Arabica bean coffee and pile on the pounds with a 40-ounce Speedy Freeze and a delicious slice of our very own Speedy Pizza that's been sitting under a heat lamp for 3 hours. And start reaping the rewards that are Speedy Rewards.
We're on your way, the convenience stores of Speedway.
Welcome back to Detroit Sports Extreme. Here again is your new voice for Detroit Sports, Johnny Bakerstone. Extreme Expressions.
As with every show, we take 3 calls from you, the listeners. We start this Extreme Expressions with a new caller. It's Oogie from Ferndale.
Johnny, this is Oogie in Ferndale. Longtime listener, thanks for taking my call. I'm going to hit you with a question outside Detroit sports, gambling question, because I know you've been hot lately. We are now 8 weeks in to the Brady-Belichick divorce. Who are you taking on what side are you taking on these two? Over, under, Brady and the Bucks going to the NFC Championship this year. And then part 2 of that question is, Belichick's Super Bowl appearances without Brady, set the line at 1.5. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for the call, Oogie. I must admit, I'm all in on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season, especially after their recent signing of Antonio Brown. That is, as long as he keeps his head on straight. What makes the Bucs especially tough is their defense, which ranks 8th in the NFL, allowing just 20.3 points per game. Combine that with their 3rd-ranked scoring offense, and I would not bet against an NFC Championship appearance. Regarding Belichick, I have to take the under on 1.5 Super Bowl appearances post-Tom. He's 68 years old, and the Pats are only 1 loss away from being sellers at the trade deadline. Yes, I'm looking at you, Stephon Gilmore. Complicating matters is the fact that the Patriots did not have a viable successor for Brady, and as good as he is, Belichick simply cannot win a Super Bowl without a quarterback. All good things come to an end, and this divorce could come as soon as this offseason. Our next caller is a returning caller. You all know him as Boats from the West Side.
Hey, John. Boats from the West Side again. Woo, baby! We're 3-3 just like I called it. I told you Matt Patricia's a genius. He told him to throw Todd Gurley into that end zone. You know that's what happened. He didn't make no mistake. We threw his ass in. Hell yeah, baby. Woo! What a drive by Stafford after. And good call on Hawkinson, my man. Hey, man, we just signed Everson Griffin. We're going to be playing him in 2 weeks. We got Philip Rivers this week. I can't wait till he's shitting his pants like he was eating some St. Elmo's hot sauce, my man. Woo!
My God, the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid continues to flow on the West Side. Although I must admit, I do agree with you on one thing, Boats. The St. Elmo's heat is coming for Philip Rivers this Sunday, baby. Okay, our final caller is JT, one of my former colleagues.
Hey, JB, it's JT, your former radio co-host back in 1660 The Wave. I gotta be brief. I'm hiding out in, listen, I had hell of a time over the weekend. I'm back in rehab. I was celebrating that win. Nothing like seeing the Lions get to 500. I mean, that's 3-3. I've been saying it all season. Matthew Stafford is an elite quarterback. He will lead us to the promised land. Hallelujah, JB. It's going to be fun this Sunday. The Colts, the Horsies, the shitty Phillies, whatever you want to call them, we're going to be making glue out of them. Mark my words. Well, that's what I've been saying, JT. It's going to be a fun one, so just stand by as we watch the Lions, one pride, lead the way on Sunday to a 4-3 record. Oh, they're trying to get in here. Hold on. Hey! Don't you fucking put your hands on me! I don't need to get back in the street, Johnny!
Oh, the classic Lion flip-flopper. JT just told us a couple of weeks ago that Stafford sucks, and now he's elite. JT, you've been flip-flopping since our time at the Wave in the 1990s. Special thanks goes to Oogie from Ferndale, Boats from the West Side, and JT. If you'd like to call into the show, simply audio message us on the Detroit Sports Extreme Facebook page for a chance to be heard on next week's show.
Detroit Sports Extreme presents Michigan Moments.
This Michigan moment brings us back to October 30th, 1981. Isiah Thomas makes his first regular season appearance as a Detroit Piston against the Milwaukee Bucks, scoring 31 points and engineering a late fourth quarter comeback, leading the Pistons to a 118-113 win. The second overall 1981 draft pick out of Indiana ranks first all-time in several Pistons categories, including minutes played, points, free throws, assists, and steals. He led the team to 5 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals appearances from 1987 to 1991, winning back-to-back championships in 1989 and 1990. Zeke averaged 19.2 points, 9.3 assists, and 1.9 steals per game in his 13 NBA seasons, all with the Pistons. Today, he serves as an analyst for the NBA on TNT.
Extreme Sportsbook, sponsored by the Johnny Bakerstone Law Firm. Going through your third divorce like Johnny? Well, make some money off these games to help cover the bill.
I went only 3-4 last week in Pick'em, dropping my record to 11-10 on the season. But hey, that's still over 500. Let's get way over that mark here in Week 8.
Indianapolis Colts, -3 at Detroit Lions.
All of the trends and numbers tell you to take the Colts, laying the 3. They're well rested coming off a bye week and boast one of the NFL's best defenses, going against the Lions' offense, which has been mediocre at best. But I'm taking the Lions and the points. I see them winning a close game at home and envision ageless wonder Phillip Rivers throwing a pick or two in this one to seal Indy's fate. God help me.
Los Angeles Rams -4 at Miami Dolphins.
It's Tua time, baby! Dolphins rookie quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, the 5th overall draft pick from the 2020 NFL Draft, makes his first start as the Fins host the Rams in Miami. Tua has not taken a hit in 351 days, and I think Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey will be licking their chops in this one against a subpar and inexperienced Dolphins offensive line. The Rams defense is just hitting their stride following last week's Monday Night Football win at home against the helpless Chicago Bears, and I see them winning this game by a touchdown. Long term, though, I think Tua will bring success to South Beach.
Tennessee Titans -5.5 at Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals rookie quarterback Joe Burrow is coming off a 4-touchdown game last week against the Cleveland Browns, but I think the Titans show up to the Chili City angry in this one, following a loss last week to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Titans rank first in the NFL in forced turnovers, and the Bengal Cats are tied for the most sacks allowed this season. I see a couple of Burrow turnovers in this one, and the Titans to cover. A bonus wager, the Titans have gone over in 14 of 16 regular season games since Ryan Tannehill took over the starting gig.
Los Angeles Chargers minus 2.5 at Denver Broncos.
The Broncos have been hit with the injury bug all season long, and although this game is at Mile High, I see the Chargers winning by at least a field goal. Bolts rookie quarterback Justin Herbert has lit the NFL on fire to the tune of 10 touchdowns and only 1 interception over his last 3 games, and I like the Superchargers to improve on their 5-1 record against the spread this season, tied for the best mark in the NFL.
San Francisco 49ers plus 3 at Seattle Seahawks.
The Niners, like the Broncos, have been decimated by injuries, but head coach Kyle Shanahan has done a masterful job keeping the ship sailing. I think that ship goes on a detour this week, however, and see the Seahawks improving on their 13-4 record versus the Niners against the spread since the start of the 2012 season.
Fantasy Football Extreme!
We've been nailing under-the-radar fantasy players all season long and look to keep the good times rolling this week, starting with the Lions game. I suggest playing Colts running back Jonathan Taylor and anticipate him to be fully unleashed this week against a Lions rushing defense that is bottom 5 in virtually every category in the NFL. Even though he is the 6th most expensive running back in daily, I would pony up to play him.
Quarterback Derek Carr, Los Angeles Raiders.
Carr has been a sneaky start all season long, throwing multiple touchdown passes in 5 straight games, and goes against a Bengals defense Sunday that have surrendered 16 passing touchdowns this season, 5th worst in the NFL. Despite making the trip across the country, I would play Carr, who's only the 20th most expensive quarterback in daily.
Running back JaMycal Hasty, San Francisco 49ers.
This is contingent upon the status of Tevin Coleman, so monitor that closely prior to 4:25 kickoff, but if he's out, Hasty should get plenty of run against a Seattle Seahawks rushing defense that has been awful of late. Remember, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson are injured for the Niners. This game projects to be a shootout, and Hasty, who had 10 touches last week, is just the 28th most expensive running back in daily.
Wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, San Francisco 49ers.
Let's stick with the same team and take a stab at Ayuk, as Deebo Samuel is out for Sunday's contest at Seattle. Ayuk has 10 targets, 8 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown in his previous 2 games, and faces a Seahawks secondary that coughs up the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. In a game with the highest over-under of the week, give me the rookie, and he's only the 20th most expensive receiver in daily.
Tight end Richard Rodgers, Philadelphia Eagles.
If Dallas Goedert is out this week, you can roll with Rodgers, who's going against a porous Dallas Cowboys defense that have allowed 4 tight end touchdowns on the season. The Eagles are 10-point favorites and should pile up the points in this one. That will conclude this edition of Detroit Sports Extreme. If you like the show, please follow us on our Facebook page at Detroit Sports Extreme. We will have another podcast come out in the next day or two to recap the Michigan State bloodbath in Ann Arbor. Happy Halloween, Detroit, and go Lions!